So I say
Sorry.
it's 6:32 and I'm going to call the Sammamish Art Commission meeting to order. And roll call, it looks like we are missing Shawnee and Ashley. Is there anybody else missing?
Well, I don't see how they could announce that, right?
No, but I was wondering if anybody is
Ah.
cross-referencing the list differently than I am. Those are the only two I see missing. Okay, so everybody present except for Shawnee and Kapoor and Ashley Arrington. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we have approval of the agenda of tonight's agenda. Is there anybody who would like to move forward with the motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I can move forward to
Okay.
approve tonight's agenda.
Thank you. Sudeshna makes the motion. Is there anybody who'd like to second? And we have Barbara second.
I'll
Thank you,
second it.
Barbara. Thank you, Barbara and Sudeshna. And then Janie sent us the minutes from the July Arts Commission meeting. And hi, Amy. Thank you for joining us. And so everybody has a copy of the minutes that was received via email last week. Is there anybody, is there somebody who'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I can make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Sudesh makes a motion. Who would like to second?
I'll second.
Barbara seconds. Okay. I was absent for about half that meeting, so I don't know if it's appropriate for me to vote, but should we will, so I'm going to abstain from voting, just so you guys know. We're going to vote. So if you want to approve the minutes, say, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Okay, and do we have Whitney and Claredel? I heard Claredel's voice. Whitney, I don't know your voice well enough to know.
I said I too. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Is there any noes, nays? And abstentions? I'm abstaining because I wasn't there for half the meeting. All right. Any public comment, Janie?
It does not look like we have anyone on, and we didn't receive any written comments.
Okay, and Amy Lamb is on. Did you have any comments that you wanted to bring forth?
Nope, I'm just here to listen.
Okay, great, thanks. Don't judge me on my lack of ability to do Robert's rules. Okay, I'm doing my best. Okay, so that brings us to the next page. The time limit is 3 minutes per person or 5 minutes if you're representing a recognized community organization. Oh, that's to do with the comments. So staff updates, and we want to welcome Emily Scott. We're glad she's here. Emily, could you introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Emily Scott. I'm happy to be here to be working with all of you and learning more about the impact that you all make with the city of Sammamish. I've worked with arts commissions in the past. Formerly, I was with Snohomish County for 8 years. That's where I had my most arts commission experience, and that was, countywide. So everything up from Darrington to Edmonds to Monroe. And yeah, I've read through kind of your guys' past documents to get caught up on the projects that have been done, and it's impressive. So I'm excited to be here and to help move projects forward for the city. And yeah, it's nice to meet you all.
We're glad to have you. And we had the pleasure, those of us that were at the Progress Flag unveiling, had the pleasure of meeting both Janie and Emily in person. And that was wonderful. So thank you for that opportunity that you represented us well. Thank you. Okay, the 23-24 budget and art strategic plan. Janie, are you talking about that?
Yes, I am. Thank you. So just to update you, the commissioners. We are in the process of our new budget cycle, preparing our 23-24 budget. The city has a 2-year budget cycle, so we're currently in the 21-22, and now we're going to be preparing for the 23-24. There are some updates to the Arts Commission budget that I wanted to let you guys know about. So the Arts Commission has 2 budgets, right? You have your general fund where you do like arts grants, events, and then there's also the permanent art fund. So your general fund is going to remain the same. I think we're asking for $65,000 each year in 23 and 24. And then what we typically have the past cycle, this cycle and the year before, we had a larger amount for a permanent public art fund. We haven't really been using it. So we're wondering, like, is it misallocated funds? So we're going to take a pause, do an art strategic plan, which is the update. We're asking council $75,000 to do an art strategic plan. We're going to ask the community, do some listening sessions, do feasibility studies, look at other similar cities of similar sizes and budgets, like what did they do with their art? And so we're hiring a consulting firm. They're going to do all this for us. They're going to put together an art strategic plan. And then coming back to the 25 and 26 biennial budget cycle, we're going to hope to get that big permanent art fund back, and using the art strategic plan to guide us and be more impactful and thoughtful in how we spend the money. Then we're going to move forward with continuing those permanent art, maybe like a sculpture park. I know you guys have talked about doing before. Our DEI project is coming out of that big fund, so we can do more things like that in the future. But really, we're just going to take a pause of this cycle, do the strategic plan, and come back to it. So that's the update, and I'll pause if anyone has any questions about kind of what's going on or what staff is thinking there. And okay,
Sudeshna.
question.
Yeah. So I'm just a little not clear about where the DI project money is coming from, and is that being delayed, or do we still have the money?
We still have the money. So right now we have in this biennial cycle, the 21-22, there's $200,000 in the permanent art fund. $50,000 of that is for the DEI sculpture. We're not carrying it forward because it's a new budget cycle, but we're going to be re-budgeting $50,000 just for that project in the next budget cycle. So that's not going away.
Okay.
So really we have that $50,000 and then hopefully $75,000 if it's approved in the budget to do the art strategic plan. So those are 2 separate projects.
Got it. And then the rest of the money that we have, do we get it back, or is that part of the art strategic fund, or I'm just not clear on that as well.
Yeah, so the funds are, well, this is where I am also like 3 months new to the city, so maybe I'm not the best at ask, but the funds that we don't use kind of go back into like the council citywide general fund, and then everything gets re-budgeted going into the next budget cycle. So the $200,000 that we haven't used this year, $50,000 of it is probably going to get re-budgeted into the DEI project, $75,000 re-budgeted into the art strategic plan, and then that leaves some extra money that the city is going to re-budget into other things to fund.
Okay, so just based on what we talked about as an Arts Commission in the previous years, we were hoping to use that chunk of money for, public art, but we wanted to make sure that we have a bit more so we could use it better. So if my understanding is that going away, then I'm just not sure what other members think about this.
Well, I can.
Go ahead, Megan.
I can speak to what Sudeshna is referring to, I think, is that we had talked several times over the past year and a half that I've been here, and I know the conversations were earlier too, that we were looking to do a sculpture park, and we kept stalling out because we didn't think we had enough money. And now, and this is, Janie and I had a conversation about this exact topic, is that the concern is because we didn't feel like we had enough money at the time, and we didn't have a lot of support from the city council at the time to move forward. Now we've lost that opportunity for at least 2 more years. And we kept trying to do a placeholder to try to be able to make sure we would be able to build on it. And now we're losing that placeholder. So now we've gone completely backwards in the last, than from where we were 2 years ago when we thought we didn't have enough money. Now we're right back, which is just putting off the art for another 2 years.
Right.
Right,
And
but sorry, go ahead, Sudeshna.
Oh, no, I was just trying to understand the background for this decision. So, it will just help us understand things a little bit more.
Sure.
Mhm.
And maybe when we go over the next agenda item, it'll make more sense. But basically let me see, what were the years? 2019 and 2020, there was $124,000 for permanent art. We only used about 70,000 of it. So there's a lot of money that we had earmarked for us that didn't go use. So, there's one cycle. This most recent cycle, we had $200,000 allocated. We're about to use $50,000 of it for the DEI fund, but that's $150,000 that wasn't used for permanent art that has been earmarked. And so it's a lot of money that hasn't been used. So are we using it correctly? It's just like, is it misallocated? Are there other things the city could do with that fund in the meantime while we, as the Arts Commission, come up with projects to do, or better think about how we could maybe do a sculpture park, have a better plan for it. And so we're taking this pause to do an art strategic plan will hopefully help us to better do these projects in the future, be more, what do we want to do? What does the community want to do? How do we do these projects? It'll just help us guys. But so next cycle in 25-26, when we have the funding back, we have $100,000, say, we'll know how to use it better, and hopefully all those funds don't go misallocated and don't go unused.
This is Claridel.
Mhm.
I want to make sure that I heard Sudeshna and Megan correctly and your explanation. It sounds like we've lost that money that we've had in place for years. I think I'm hearing you say we've lost it until the 25-26 cycle. Are you saying that money has been withdrawn? What if we come up with some way that we wanted to spend that money for permanent art and the money is not available to us anymore? Am I hearing you say that the decision has been made by the council to no longer have that money available for us to consider until 25-26?
Yeah, so you're following correctly. There is the option so it's a 2-year cycle, but in the middle of the biennial, they call it a the mid-biennial budget. If you have a plan, our strategic plan is completed, we have something we really want to do, and we have a plan, we just need the money, we can ask council at the end of 2023, moving into 2024, hey, we have this plan, we need this funding for it. So while right now looking forward, the plan is to have the $50,000 for the DEI project, that's going to happen. Then we're going to have no other funding for big permanent art. You'll still have your general fund. You can still do all the grants. But right now, yeah, no money in 23-24 for additional projects. But at the end of 23, if we have a plan, we have money, like how we're going to use it, we can go to council and ask for additional funding. So it's kind of a yes and no answer, if that.
Because we do not lose the placeholders in the operating fund.
We do.
We
lose
lose
those.
the placeholders in the operating fund?
Mhm.
From the capital fund. The operating fund is your general
Yeah.
fund. From the capital fund, we're
And
losing the
reason-
placeholder, except for the DEI project.
The reason I asked the question specifically is, as you know, I have placeholders as line items to replace the traffic signals that have been changed out by Public Works. I have 2 entries in there to replace those, and they're line items.
Claridel, those have been coming from the general fund.
yeah,
that
the
you have.
general
It hasn't
fund.
been coming
So are
from the
those
permanent
still-
art fund.
Those are still available for us to do that. Is that
Yep,
correct?
$65,000 in 23 and $65,000 in 24 you can use for these projects that you're talking about.
All right, thank you.
So, but the capital fund is what would have covered the cost of the sculpture park.
Correct. And not that you can't do the sculpture park, it's just
Right.
everything you've talked about, all the decisions you guys have made, we're just kind of putting a bookmark in it, and we can come back to it when we're more
Well, they-
sure about how to do it.
Right, and we're asking these questions. We know you're just the carrier of the information.
No, and
So please know that we're not trying to like, it's just that we've spent at least 2 years,
Mhm.
some of us have spent over 2 years talking about this, and the word is that we couldn't do it because the city council at the time wasn't conducive. I don't know what the right word is. And now, like, is that what you would say, Sudeshna and Barbara?
Yeah, and we've just been trying to like have a nest egg and
Mhm.
have
And
enough
try to build
savings
from it. Yeah.
so
now
we
it's
could have
gone.
enough money to kind of build the things that we were hoping for. So it's come as a shock to me that this has happened. So excuse me
Sure.
if I'm just asking a lot of questions.
No, your emotions are valid, and I hope I can answer all your questions. Maybe let's move into the budget, like year to date,
Okay.
and we can talk about it, and we can continue to have this conversation. We'll just move forward a little bit, and I'll share my screen so you can
Thanks.
see.
Okay, before you move to the budget, do we use the same city login and password to access the links? Because that's also new, I guess.
Oh, so this is on iCompass, and you don't need to be logged in. Anyone can come in and look at this. When you go to see the agenda on iCompass, if you click on
Yes.
split view, you can see it like this.
So I'm on the agenda and I'm clicking on the links and they just take me to iCompass and asking me for a username and password.
Okay, let's see. I'll back it. So this is, I mean, I'm logged in, but you shouldn't have to. Let's see. So this
And
should
some
be
of the
what you
other
see, and then
members,
split
Yep,
screen.
I'm on that page and I click on any link and it just takes me to iCompass where it's asking me to.
Are you clicking right here where I'm showing it says split screen? It's not in the agenda, it's off to the side.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
There we
Thank you.
go. Yeah, and then you should be able to click on those links.
Okay, thank you. I'm so glad I asked.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, well,
No, it's doing the same thing.
maybe
Yeah.
not.
It's okay, we can move on and I can figure it out.
Okay,
later.
I did email, you should have a PDF of the whole agenda in your email if
Okay.
you see, okay.
Yeah, I noticed
Um,
just that direct PDF, the links weren't letting me
Mhm.
click, but if you scroll down, they're all in there. Like if you scroll through the agenda on the email, Janie sent I think the most recent one, I just scrolled down and everything was there.
Keep scrolling through 110
Yeah,
pages. You'll find
110
it.
pages.
Yeah.
Very thorough. We like Jeannie.
Okay. So here is, year to date, this is your general fund or your operating fund, if you will, what we've spent. When I pulled the agenda together, we have also added onto this just about $30 for some, snacks for the unveiling. And then the Lego event happened last weekend, so that's an additional about $1,000 and then $30 for pizza. So our total year to date out of our $60,000 is $13,451. And then this is a more full look that includes the permanent art fund that we were just discussing. So these are those line items you were talking about, Claridel, that you have earmarked out of our operating fund budget. And if we did everything on here, we spent all of our money, we would still have $7,550 unallocated that you guys could still use until the end of the year. And then this 2021-2022 permanent art fund. So what you guys wanted to do was maybe a rotating sculpture park. This DEI project is happening, so $50,000 is going to be rebudgeted next year because that's when we're actually going to be giving out the award. Some project about a roundabout. I'm not sure. This is what Chris handed off to me, so maybe you guys know. I think it might be the signs for the roundabout on 4th Street, and then you still had $108,000 unallocated. So right now, as it stands, there was $200,000 in the capital fund for permanent art in 2021, 2022 that went unspent. And I think this is where the city manager came to us and said, are we using this properly? Do we have a plan on public art? And that's where the strategic art plan came from. So if we have any more questions about the permanent art fund, maybe we can talk about it now if anyone still wants to share.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted a strategic art
Oh,
plan.
okay.
And that was something that we have voted for,
Mhm.
but I really don't
Great.
think that we had the clear understanding that if we were
Mhm.
voting for this, we were losing access to move forward with our plans. So just, I want that on, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think, unfortunately, Ashley is not here, but she has been incredibly invested in this sculpture park for over almost 3 years now.
Mhm.
I mean, the intention of us asking actually for a strategic plan was to, I don't know what this is. Something just popped up. Am I supposed to know what this is? Francis?
That's Francis Garcia.
Oh, okay, this is,
That's about performing arts.
Is that like public comment?
is
I
this
don't know.
somebody who wanted to do
Well,
public?
it looks to me like she wanted to talk, but she wasn't here available during public comment. That's just a guess, but
Yeah, I see two
Yeah,
new
so
people.
I'm sorry. We actually, Petra, Mary and I actually went to City Hall thinking that the meeting was there. It wasn't until we looked on our phones that we realized it was a virtual meeting. And so I had to run back home to get back on my computer to see. So I just noticed on the agenda that public comment was for the end. I didn't know that it was at the beginning.
Okay, well, if you don't mind waiting until the end of our item and then we can do public comment, we can like wrap back around to it before we start old business.
Okay,
If that
certainly.
works
Thank
for
you.
Megan. Okay.
Yes.
So again, when we asked for the strategic plan, it was to help give us a framework,
Mhm.
and then to see what that's actually created for us is a bit of a shock, as Sudeshna to
Mhm.
use.
I mean, from where, this is not the city opinion, this is my personal opinion. It kind of makes sense to do a strategic plan, to like stop and do it and see what the results are before we move forward with doing public art. And if it doesn't take 2 years, like I said, in the mid-biennial budget cycle, we can come back and ask for funds. So we can kind of think of it as our next big art project is strategic plan. And after that, it could be the sculpture park. And that could happen in 24, pending budget. It could happen in 25. It's not that we're never going to come back to it. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thought, but you guys as commissioners
Okay, but
are entitled to
yeah,
your own.
thank
yeah.
you. But I think the sculpture park was already approved. So
So
I'm not
it was
sure
voted
why that
on
would
by
go
you
away.
guys. Yeah.
Yes,
It was
and it was
voted on by
voted
the
on in our
commission.
budget by us.
So the budget, when we go to council and ask, it's not broken out. The budget was in capital fund, public permanent art, $200,000. And so within that, we still have to go to council. Here is our RFP. Here we need to get things. And then council approves that. And then this is who we want to work with. Council approves it. So there's a lot more steps to getting a project approved than, as I'm kind of explaining it, like with this RFP for the DEI project, it had a bunch of steps, council approved, we can release an RFP, council approved the $50,000 that we can promise to these people who submit RFP. Council is going to vote on the final project.
Right.
And then we're going to do it. Council's going to vote that, like, there's a lot of steps. So while, yes, we wanted to do it and we said, let's do $35,000, like it wasn't fully there yet. There's still a lot more
Right.
steps. And so I understand the confusion and maybe not understanding that full process. And that can be frustrating.
And is this the way it just works? The city manager can just come in and just say, we're halting everything, and then everything just gets halted?
Yeah.
Am I hearing Megan and Sudeshna in the comments that they've made that we voted for this? We gave an amount of what the framework that we wanted to work in. And I'm hearing you, Janie, say that in answer to the question that Megan just asked, and you just responded to Sudeshna, even though we voted for it and put a dollar sign on it, it's gone, period. So if we decide we want to do it, we got to start our own internal process all over again. I think that's what you're telling us.
So you're not, like, as a commission, you've already agreed you want to do a sculpture park. What we're going to have to restart is asking council for the money to do it. We don't have to restart the, do we want to do this? We don't have to like reinvent the wheel in that regard. And going back to the money, I mean, the money is given to us for the budget cycle of 2 years. This is not just Art Commission, it's anything that's going on in the city. If you don't spend it in that 2 years, you should not think that you still have it. It still has to be re-budgeted to you. So we had $200,000 and we didn't spend it. We don't get to keep it. I mean, that's just how it goes with any department, any project. Council can even give us the money, and then when we say, okay, we're ready to do it, they can vote, no, never mind. So that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah,
The
it's
last-
really frustrating.
The last 2 budget cycles we've had, which is the last 4 years, we have had money that we knew would be an excess. It would be a balance. And we went to the council, and the council said, we will permit you to carry over that money you did not spend, carry it over into your next budget cycle. So this happened. We had that permission from the council for the last 4 years and the last 2 budget cycles that I personally know about. And now that is not happening. We are not being permitted a carryover of any, and like Sudeshna said, we were trying to build a nest egg so we had the confidence that we could move forward with planning. So I know for the last 2 budget cycles, that money was permitted for us to carry over. That's
Mhm.
just a comment on what actually happened.
So I might jump in here real quick too. And I'm kind of just learning, very new to all this, but from what I've seen, this is a very well-funded arts commission. I think typically, the art strategic plan is going to help so that this type of confusion doesn't happen in the future. I think if the money, it sounds like this group had a vision, and everyone in this conversation was on the same track, but was there a plan written up of like where the sculpture park was going, who the artists were, a budget? Was there an actual like plan and bid done yet?
There was no bid done.
Okay, I think if we had
No.
had that and said this is what the funds were going to be, used for, it would have been different. I could see where the city was saying these funds are sitting here. We're concerned. It's a lot of public dollars.
Absolutely.
It's great that the art strategic plan that is a priority for you guys, and I think that it's going to help put a process in place. Sit down, you get community feedback before we start spending all this money. It's going to put a process to the project in order for these things to not happen again. But I think as Jeannie said, it is decided that this is the way the budget's going to be for the next 2 years. So hopefully we can use, there's still a lot of money left to use to do some projects. And I understand all that, hard work went into the sculpture park, but it still can happen. The sculpture park still can happen.
Well, and I think we need to be honest, Emily, that we didn't have all of we didn't have all those steps, all the ducks in a row.
Yeah, and I mean, we have put some thought into this, and so I'm just surprised that the city manager did not ask us before it was decided that all the money will go away. So I'm just surprised that there was no conversation that happened before it was decided.
Okay, well, so Sudeshna, I knew this a little bit before you, and I think we're all still really surprised, but I think honestly, the people who are here representing the city right now aren't the ones that can
Definitely.
affect change. So
I
let's,
agree, but I think the city manager needs to know my feedback.
yes, totally. So maybe my question is right now, is there a way, Emily and Janie, that we can express our concern? I think we know that there's not going to be a lot of change here, but that we're not happy about it. Is there a process that we should take? Can you advise us on how to communicate with the new city manager about our disappointment regarding this? So we can be on record?
Yeah, admittedly, I don't know. I mean, this is my first time leading a commission in the city of Sammamish, so I'm not entirely sure the process, but I can definitely figure it out and then get back to you, Megan, and we can identify how to do that for you guys.
Yeah, I would say too, just drafting a letter that comes from the commission. Megan, you would definitely be kind of the one signing it, but express that it's coming from the whole commission. Kind of put in framework what you'd like to discuss, and you can absolutely request a meeting. I mean, there's no harm in sitting down and chatting, but putting, pen on paper with a date, getting it date stamped, those things never hurt.
Megan, I think you've said it well, and Emily's comments, I think, are well heard. The commission voted for something, we put it forward, and it was denied. And just expressing the fact that we did submit it as part of our desire. It was unanimously voted on, and it was denied. And if you just encapsulate it that way and express our disappointment that since we went to the trouble as a commission to consider this and then vote on it unanimously, that it was denied.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'll draft a letter. I'll connect with you guys separately, but I think at this point, we're flogging a dead horse here, and we should move on to the next step of our meeting. But I really appreciate that people spoke honestly and openly about it. So, Janie, to go back to our budget, do we need to go over September budget tracking?
I did it kind of quickly and then moved
Okay.
on, but we can
Okay.
look back at it again. So this is where
Oh, this was just
yeah.
September. I'm sorry.
This
I
was
was
just
looking at the
September.
wrong order. Okay.
it's okay. Yeah, so we have $65,000 this year, 2022. So far we spent 13, and I was explaining we've actually spent about
Yeah.
14,000 and some
Got it.
change from recent events. So
Okay, so this is as of September. I was misunderstanding. Can you fill me in? Was the Mead the grant that we offered and then they turned it down because they couldn't get enough of the other funds? Is that what happened there?
I do not know, honestly.
Okay, does anybody on our commission happen to know that?
This is the first time seeing this.
Yeah, I've never seen this sheet. So it's interesting. Jeannie, could you get back to us about why? I know
Yeah.
we voted $500 for allocation for, I think that was kiln training. And then I'm
Mhm.
surprised to see that it was voided. So if you could find out if there's any additional information about that, I would appreciate it. And then I'm looking at the sand sculpture costs, and I see the 2,000 and then the 7,000. And then it's come up in two different conversations that there was a concern around the sand sculpture is that we actually didn't have any signage that was appropriate at the time of the construction of the sand sculpture, seeing it was sponsored by the Art Commission. And is that something if we need to be aware of, that we need a line item in there or something for next year? Should we move forward with the sand sculpture again? I think it was you, Janie, that had to pull something together really quickly, but is there a cost in there that we didn't account for, or?
I think that was just Chris left around this time. There's a lot.
Okay,
I think there's just a failure of communication on
Okay.
the staff part, but yeah, there's a sign out now and
right.
Yeah.
But is there a line in there that we should be aware of? Account,
no, I mean, we
accounting-
so we just used it from the part printing. I
Okay.
mean, I just printed
Okay.
something, so it's not a budget thing.
okay,
yeah.
and that's what we figured. It was just one of the things that
Yeah.
glitched during the whole transition. So, okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions in regards to budget?
Did I just hear you say that the single sign for the sand sculpture was $2,000?
No, no,
No.
no, no.
No,
No.
nobody said that. That was covered, the cost of it was covered by the parks, a different department. There was no sheet, there was no dollar amount listed as spoken of.
All right.
Sudeshna, did you have something you
I-
needed to ask?
I don't have a budget question, but I do want to understand more about the strategic plan, who's conducting it, how are we going to be involved? So maybe we have a conversation about that at some point.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that part yet. So that's all going to be next year. It's on
Okay.
like a staff plan. But yeah, you guys will definitely be very involved in the creation of the RFP and how we want to move about the strategic
great.
plan.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll move on to old budget or old sorry.
Do we want to
Old
do public
business?
comment first?
Oh, do we want to stop here for public comment? That's a great idea. Is this an appropriate time, Janie and Emily? I'm not. Okay,
Sure.
let's do that. So you guys don't all have to listen to our conversation.
Okay.
If we could stop, can we stop sharing the budget so I can see more screens? Is that possible? Oh, thank you. Okay. We have public comment. Francis, did you want to speak? Come to the.
Yes, actually, can I share my screen? Is that possible?
Janie's in, I think she's working on it. I can see by her facial expression. She's on it.
I think you might be able to. At the bottom of the Zoom, it says share screen. It'll be kind of in the middle.
I think
Okay.
she has multiple. Yeah.
Okay, so I just kind of want to share a little bit about Spotlight Repertory Northwest. We are a performing arts organization, and we basically live out of a PO box right now. We don't have brick or mortar. We have several programs that benefit our citizens, and we're homegrown. We're here in Sammamish. We're not in Redmond or Issaquah or anywhere else. And so we have our camps, our summer camps at the Beaver Lake Lodge. We used to, before COVID and before the Boys and Girls Club turned from a teen center to the Boys and Girls Club, we use the teen center all the time for venues to teach improv, to do our show choirs, to have performances. And now, if you can tell, these are pictures of past performances. Let's see. Right now, we're starting several programs up now that the world is slowly, cautiously opening up. And so we have our Rising Stars musical theater program starting, our Shining Stars musical theater program starting. We have our carolers, Spotlight Carolers starting up. And then we also are starting a Spotlight Concert Choir. And then in the jazz program, we have an 18 to 20 piece high school 8th grade to 12th grade jazz band that the director from Bellevue College, the jazz director from Bellevue College, is coming out and doing mostly clinics and directing them. We are entering a very high profile competition in New York. So we're submitting recordings and what have you. Right now, most of our funds have been taken up by storage. So we are coming to you to ask you to help us out with venue space. We need the Boys and Girls Club, and we can't get a hold of anyone there. No one answers our emails, our phone calls. We are now using the Pine Lake Covenant Church. We can't afford to continue to pay their fees, and we're using Sammamish Press, and we can't afford to pay their fees. So right now we're paying for our Rising and Shining Stars, we're paying about $1,500 money, which we're trying to raise right now. For our jazz performance group, we're paying $2,400. And for our Spotlight Concert Choir, which is here in Sammamish, we're paying, or we're supposed to pay $700 for these fees. So it's if we can get these fees for our venues covered, we can cover everything else. We also have a show that we are going to be presenting on December 2nd and 3rd at the Pine Lake Covenant Church called A Very Broadway Holiday. And in it, we're going to be featuring all these multi-disciplined performing arts, jazz, show choirs, ages, 2nd grade all the way up. So this is something that we're bringing to Sammamish. We're bringing a kind of community sing-along. So we're coming here because we need help. We need help to continue to survive. The 2 years that we didn't have programs put us way back. And so it's almost like we're starting from zero again. But we do have a little name recognition. Some parents are still coming back and bringing their kids. And we do have an internship program where we have high school students helping out. So I wanted to know, what is your allocation for the performing arts in the city of Sammamish?
So that's a great question. And Francis, I appreciate that you've put this together and come to speak before us. We're not used to having much public comment. So I think this is the first meeting I've run where we've had public comment. So thank you for letting me bumble through this. We do have a grants process. That cycle, they will be starting again this fall. We are continuing with the same program that we had last year. And I really recommend that you apply for that grant. We don't have any special funds that are allocated to performing arts. Anything that we allocate money to, it is something that is within the budget that you just heard us talking about. So we all agree, we move forward. But I would also recommend that if you are, it sounds like you're also struggling not only with costs, but getting connections with the Girls and Boys Club, and Emily should be able to help you with that. So if you want to reach out, so it's Emily Scott, and she's right here in the cubes. I don't know what you call them. And you can contact her. She's new. So that can actually play in your favor because she can use it to introduce herself. Her email is listed below. It's escott@sammamish.us. And if there is if you're also interested in being part, I think, of the Sammamish Art Council or Committee, I'd recommend, if you want to have input on a regular basis or help to sort of guide where we're going, you could also apply to be part of the Art Commission. But at this point, we don't have a budget allocated, so there's nothing we can do specifically at this time. The process would be going through grants, filling out those forms, and then we would be reviewing it as a commission. And then
Okay, so oh, thank you so much. We did apply for a grant. Maybe it was a little too verbose because we were trying to show what we did, and then it kind of went on and on. So I don't know why we were denied. I would love to see if I can speak to somebody about the process and what you're exactly looking for. Yes, I would love to speak with you, Emily, and get a chance to find out if we can, because we are desperate. We need we need a drum set.
Okay, so we do have a time limit of 3 minutes, so I want to make sure that we respect the rest of the meeting time, but I believe is the grants information, Janie and Emily, do you know if the grants information is already posted on the city page?
If you go to Arts Commission, I believe it's on, the Arts Commission Sammamish.us, and you'll be able to navigate to it from there and see information.
And you should be able to see the criteria, the rubrics that we use. And that gives you some information of what we're looking for when we're assessing. And my understanding was that Chris contacted each person and wrote a letter at the time when we made our decisions and offered a further conversation. When he had to make when he had to communicate the grants that we were not funding, I believe he sent out an email and offered to speak to each person individually if they had any further questions. So, but I don't know how many details were in there.
Megan,
Okay.
may I make a comment?
Sure, Claredell.
My husband and I have been mentors at the Boys and Girls Club for somewhere between 10 and 15 years. I will assure you there is absolutely no physical space from a storage perspective
Okay,
to
but
store anything, and especially people's personal instruments, there is a liability. And we all know the city owns the building, the Boys and Girls Club building. But I just want to make that comment physically, and Emily will find this out when she talks to them. There's no physical storage, and the liability is a big problem. So for us to get in as a city commission, for us to get into the arena of possibly allocating money for
Okay.
storage, which for instruments which would expose the city to a liability.
okay, so
That's all I need to say.
okay, but what we're doing now is we're reaffirming that we need to go through the grants process and to use Emily as a conduit to building a relationship between Francis and the boys and girls. And I think those are two resources, Francis. If you also want to put this in writing, and you can submit it to each of us at the Art Commission, and then we may have some side conversations too that could help, but I need to be respectful of leading the meeting on a timely basis. And I'm a little uncomfortable with this, and I'm sorry, but it even says here I can only give you a certain number of minutes. So I'm going to move us along, Francis, but I do appreciate that you've come and been open and honest and shared this, and clearly you're passionate about it. And I think we all feel that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other, Petra and Mary, are you here on behalf to support Francis, or do you have additional comments?
I just want to say that I was new to Spotlight, the whole experience, and my first experience was three years ago or so. And I was really impressed at what she did with just our small local community.
Okay.
And that's why I jumped in, and I've been volunteering ever since. And Francis does an amazing job with all skill levels.
I think if you add this information, and Petra, if you're here for this same topic, if you put this all together in communication with Emily and communication, you can, again, you can email us individually, but I have to stick with the agenda we've committed to, or I'm not doing my due diligence. And I don't want to cut you off, but I have to be able to stick with our timeline. So again, I really thank you for this. And we've given you 3 different channels. Reach out to Emily. Well, I guess and fill out the grants form that'll open again this fall. Hopefully you'll find some feedback there that'll help you. And then you can email the Arts Commission individually. Okay, thank you so much for being here. You're welcome to keep listening, but we're going to move on to the next topic. Okay, thank you. So under old business, this is the Arts DEI project, which I think is still ongoing. And did you want to speak to any of this now, Janie, or do you want me to just jump in?
I'm happy to walk us through the proposals, but if you want to talk about how we're going to be discussing and
Okay,
everything that
yeah,
is-
why don't you walk us through that first bit? Can you share us? And so the role of this, our next job is to review these 3 submissions and then have a conversation about whether or not, or which of these we would like to move forward with. And well, it's not actually moving forward. To be really clear, what we're doing is passing on our recommendation to City Council. What I want to be able to do is, once Jeannie is done sharing, we're just going to talk about this for a few minutes. And then we'll hold a vote. If it seems like we're able to do so successfully, then we will pass that recommendation off to the City Council. And then, but the City Council will get all 3 submissions and they will learn of our recommendation, and then they'll take it from there.
Mhm.
Is that right? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay,
Okay.
Janie, take it away.
Okay, so just to remind us about the process, and we can talk about where we are tonight. So we opened an RFP to get artist proposals, maximum of 3 went forward to make maquettes. We got 3 submissions, so that was perfect. All 3 went forward with the process. So here we are. All 3 artists submitted like a mock-up of what they wanted to do, what they were thinking for if they got the full award, what would they do with it? And this is where we are tonight. So the maquettes are being presented to you, the Arts Commission, and the commission will submit their recommendation for which artist you think would make a great sculpture in our park. We're going to present that recommendation and all 3 maquettes to City Council in October, and then City Council is going to make the final choice. And these are all in the packet, so this shouldn't be new to you, but we're going to go over all 3 of them again. So the first artist is Haiying Wu, and this is his idea. I'll just go ahead and read this. The meaning of our life comes from the challenge of all known and uncertain in today's society. Discrimination and injustice still exist, both conclusively and both consciously and subconsciously. How to shorten the gaps between people and make everyone feel included as part of society is still a challenging task. All the efforts we make today are process to seek a more ideal and fair society to shorten the gap between different races. The challenger, and that is what he's naming this piece, is an anthropomorphic and witty depiction of a skateboard cat bravely pushing the envelope, conveying a serious theme that in the face of all injustice and hardship, we should carry forward our skateboard cat spirit, challenge the limit, never give up, and never stop pursuing social fairness and justice. The material will be made of a bronze and colored patina and Corten steel. Total height is 12 feet, estimated completion 4 months. And he did bring in a little sculpture of it, so I took some pictures. This is the material, what it would look like, the color, the cat. It is maybe about 3 feet tall. This is the curve, and in his proposal, it kind of goes under the ground, and it looks like it has an extra cat. So that is the first option, Haiying Wu. And there is more information in your packet, but just to save time, we won't dive into it. Hopefully you have time to review it beforehand, or you can review it after this meeting. Jasmine Iona Brown is the second one. And her proposal is cut metal sculpture. So this is one example from Spokane Library that she did. This is kind of what it would look like, little sculptures in the grass. The concept sketch. Again, this is a previous project she did, and this is for our project at Big Rock. A series of cut metal sculptures of diverse youth enjoying the park, very similar to what she did for the library. 5 freestanding silhouettes, 3 to 5 feet tall, brightly colored, spread across the grass. Some samples of proposed silhouettes, and here is the color palette. She also had kind of a secondary concept of paper dolls, same metal cutout, but instead of the silhouettes, it would be a more simple design, and these would be more skin colors from pale alabaster to deep cocoa and several shades in between. And then again, she has more information, a budget, and her resume, if you wanted to look at that. And the last artist is Leah Wen. This is her resume. And this is the maquette she submitted. She is thinking of having a gravel base, large boulders with sandblasted designs of various. Here are some examples you can see. And these little statues are also part of the sculpture or the artwork. So those figures would also be in the sculpture. She did tell me that this design would be about 19 feet end to end, and in the RFP we asked for a max diameter of 10 feet. 19 feet does still fit in the space. But then she proposed this alternative arrangement. She didn't want to be discounted just because the piece was too big. So if we needed to fit within the 10 feet, there would be one large boulder in the middle, smaller boulders, and then still a little statue figure. And those are the three options. So Megan, if you want to take the conversation back and lead us, that'd be great.
Great. Thanks so much, Janie.
Yeah.
What I would like to do is see if somebody would like to make the motion for us to take an initial vote so we can sort of see how close or how far apart we are on making a recommendation to City Council. Was there anybody who'd like to make a motion to do an initial vote to see how close or how far we are in making a recommendation?
I'll make a
I'll
motion.
make a motion. Yeah, okay, go
Okay,
ahead,
well,
Ann.
we got lots there. we got Prasad and Ann at the same time.
No, I
Does
think
anybody
Ann was ahead, so.
Okay,
But
so
I'll do it.
Ann makes a motion. Prasad, do you want to second it?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is then.
Sorry, can you state the motion? Anne?
I make a
Thank you.
motion to take an initial vote to see how close we are in alignment on the three sculptures to pass forward to City Council.
Prasad, does Prasad need to say again that he'd like to second it?
Well,
No,
I second
okay.
it.
Okay, well, thank you for being helpful there, Prasad. Okay, so the first vote, so I'm going to refer to them in shorthand. The first one is the C. The second one will be the silhouettes. And the third will be the boulders. Does anybody have a question about how I'm going to use those in shorthand for voting purposes? Put up your hand now.
No.
No. Okay,
Are
so.
we to comment
yeah.
on each one? Are we to comment on each one or what?
Right now, we're just doing a vote to see how close or how far away we are from having a recommendation for the City Council.
So so we are to vote on which of the three we each prefer.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is C. Could you put up your hand if you are in favor of the C sculpture? We have Ann and Prasad. Did I miss anybody? Okay, and the silhouette?
I prefer.
You prefer the silhouette?
Yes.
Okay, so Megan, Whitney, and Clarida. And the third would be the boulders.
I would like to abstain from voting right now because I just looking at them for the first time and I need a lot of time to kind of digest it and look at
Okay.
other work
As-
done by the artists, and I don't
As
think I'm ready
that's
to.
what
Yeah.
and I just, nothing has grabbed me. So I
Okay.
just don't feel good about voting.
Okay, so we were afraid that this, Janie and I had a conversation that we were afraid this might happen. So this is, on a personal note, I'm gonna say that there's a little, this information was sent out a week ago. So I think we all have to do, including myself, so we all have to do a better job of looking at the notes and being prepared so we can be efficient at our commission meetings, and I'm including myself. So this is not but to make best use of our time, because the City Council needs our recommendation or our inability to make a recommendation, but they need word so they can move forward with our thoughts or knowing that we can't. So Janie and I talked about this, and if you want, what we need to do then is we can either have people just write your submission or your proposal for submission to city council and write that to Janie and Emily. Or if you would prefer, and we can vote on this too, we have the form that Chris Jordan created for us for this first step of the DEI, when he thought we might have more than 3 proposals. Remember, we were first going to recommend 3 to move forward, and those people were going to do the mock-ups. We could go back and look at that form, and you could fill out that form. So to recap, there's really 2 ways to do this. We can just write our own recommendation to Janie and Emily in words, or we could use the form that Chris provided us. Should we take that to a vote? Should we either just write a recommendation or use the proposal form? It's like a rubric to help you figure it out.
May I suggest if we give a recommendation that, like on entry 3, we don't know what those rocks say. You know, the language on the rocks. We need to know what we are advocating in representing the city. If we put text on rocks, we don't know what those rocks say. So that's
I'll clarify. It's not text. It's not a language. It's just images, just artwork sandblasted into stone.
But I noticed on the second entry, a little boy had on a T-shirt and there was text. And the council has on several occasions asked that we not use text on permanent art. And so
Okay,
I don't know whether.
But that doesn't take into place what your recommendation is. So don't make your recommendation based on what you think the council is going to vote. This is a personal recommendation. But Janie, can you pull that up again so we can see that picture? Do you mind sharing your screen again so we're not talking in the abstract?
Okay.
It says, ask me what I do, I think is what it says.
Okay, and then if we could see the third one, what I'm talking about, we
Sure.
don't know that isn't a language.
Well,
No, really.
okay, right. That's true. I mean,
We don't know what those words, we don't know what the hieroglyphics mean. They might mean something that maybe it's a message that the council would not be proud of.
okay, well, then that's their job to do their due diligence. So I would say if you're concerned about that, this is simply your recommendation, so you wouldn't vote for that. If it's not included in the notes,
Okay,
don't vote for something unless you're very
I
confident.
just
that it
wanted to
would.
comment that potentially we could be putting something out there, and it wouldn't be fair to the city council if these things said something that we were unaware of.
Okay, so could we do, would somebody like to make a motion to vote either just simply writing an email with your recommendations to Emily and Janie? And I don't know if that's appropriate to include both of you at this time. Or we can go back and do the rubric that Chris offered.
Which one's particularly easy for you, Emily and Janie?
It's 6 of 1. It's
Oh, okay.
either way.
You don't care
Yeah,
either way. Okay.
I might have a little bit more preference towards the rubric, just so that we're all kind of judging it on a fair, with the same criteria, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But if you want to add to it, if you want to add notes to the bottom of the rubric or something, feel free to do that as well.
Does everybody have a copy of the rubric? Could we pull that up, Janie? I can see, hang on, let me see when Chris sent it out. Maybe then I can pull it up.
I'm sure I'll be able to find it in our files.
And if you have any questions for the artist, like for example, what do those symbols actually mean? I'm just throwing up an example there. I guess, who should we send the questions to?
If you read in the full proposal, she does explain more
Okay.
about the symbols. So maybe read that, and if you have further questions, direct them to me, and I can talk to the artist. I should clarify, we need this recommendation by,
When-
like, I need to submit it on Friday, so I would need information from you hopefully by Thursday.
Okay.
So
And when Janie and I talked before, we actually said we do Wednesday night to give them as much time as possible. So
that would be great.
I think I would prefer that, but thank you. There's the panel evaluation form. So this is what Chris originally sent out. So, can you tell me do you know what the date is for this? I'm sorry, for this original email, or could you resend the rubric to us tonight, Janie?
I will definitely resend it to you. He made
Okay.
this in July, and I think,
Okay.
I don't know when he sent it out, but I'll send it again.
So to be clear, if this is what I'm personally in favor of the rubric, because I think it's an even playing field and it becomes less about sort of emotion, but it does require that we do some thoughtful processing, and that we read through all of the information. That if we use this, you would need one rubric for each of the candidates, correct, Emily? You can't just do the one that you're moving forward. Is that right?
I mean, ideally, and I hate to give you guys more work, but like the gal who just spoke, who had questions about her grant, if someone does, it's just nice to have a little bit something to explain to folks if they do have questions why they were chosen or not chosen for the project. So yes, ideally, if you guys could find the time to do one rubric for each artist submission, that would be fantastic. But it is up to the commission. So Megan, you guys do vote on it and decide if you'd like to do the rubric, or if just written emails works better for you, that's okay too.
Okay. It's a pretty short rubric but writing an email is even shorter potentially. So would somebody like to make a motion to put this to a vote, please? Anybody?
I make a motion to work on the rubric for each artist and send it to Emily by Wednesday night.
Thank you, Sudeshan. Does somebody want to second the motion? Whitney does quietly. And so we'll put this to a vote. We will vote if we will use the rubric and we will create one rubric for each candidate and submit that to Janie and Emily by Wednesday night. If you agree, this is Ashley checking in. If you agree to that, could you say aye? Aye.
Aye.
And since somebody just found a rubric, do you mind forwarding it?
Yeah,
Okay,
Janie
thank you.
said she'd put, and then if you, any no's? And any abstentions? Okay,
I-
great. So
I'm-
Janie,
I'm abstaining because I'm
okay,
not really clear 100%. Okay.
you're not clear about what? Claredel, can I help?
No, I'm just not, I'm not personally clear with myself on the process. That's all. That's why I'm abstaining.
Okay. We'll reach out to one of us if we can assist. I'm sure Emily and Janie are also available at any time. If there's, or myself, if I can help. But at this point, what we're doing is Janie is going to be sending us the rubric, and it is our job to fill out a rubric for each of the pieces, each of the proposals. And then Janie, and we need to send all three of those for each artist to Janie and Emily by the end of day Wednesday. So they have time to compile and put together a presentation to present to City Council.
When
Okay.
she sends the rubric, will it also include a repetition of the 3 entries?
Yes, I will send each proposal again and a little summation of this conversation so you know what the process is again.
Okay. And then, so we are rounding on at 7:42, so we have 18 minutes left. The next
our attention that it's really important that we all start on the same level as when we're working with the community and art projects. We are stewards of the world of art in our community. And it's really important that we're
Barbara, which page
open-
did you want? I apologize.
72.
There's only 61 pages.
Well, then that took care of that.
Do you know what
Oh,
it
I have
was saying?
72. Anyway,
Okay.
I had 110 in my.
I have 110 pages.
Well, just of the Arts Commission, do you know what number it says right here of
Uh,
the orientation guide?
no,
Okay. Sorry.
Keep going up. It's sort of toward the beginning. It's talking about. Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
no.
No, I don't know where it is.
All right.
Oh, wait, it's in here. Keep going,
And
move
it's
up
just-
a little bit.
It's in the agenda packet, page 72, right?
Yeah.
There it
Yeah.
is,
So you might have opened
page
the
23,
orientation
ethics and
guide.
appearance
Yeah.
of fairness.
So it's just a little sentence, but to bring forth something that we all get to stand by are the ethics and the appearance of fairness. And as commission members, we are expected to uphold a high standard of ethics. It is extremely important that commission members avoid conflicts of interest or even the appearance of conflict of interest. This came up, Megan and I were talking about this, and it came up because we have been speaking to several people in the community around projects that have been very successful through us. But some people in the community feel like that they were not inclusive. And that, for example, if somebody wanted extra something and they were told no, it is that to tell somebody no for a project that is supposed to be community-based and also support the arts, that's not our place to do that. We are here to steward everything that we bring forward into the community. And we want to just make sure that we're all on the same page with, no matter what our religious beliefs are, what our ethnic beliefs are, what our political beliefs are, whatever our beliefs are, does not come into the projects that we are working on and presenting to the public. So we wanted to open this up for a little bit of discussion to see where people are with this. So if anybody has anything they'd like to share about it, or any idea, or not ideas, but just feelings around this, because we all need to be standing on the same ground.
I'll speak. I think it's really important. Is that okay? Can you call on me, Barbara?
Oh, Megan?
Yeah, it's very important from where I stand and reading this, reviewing this, these rules, that we are not seen as gatekeepers, and instead we are perceived as people with their arms wide open. And it is not our place to determine if something is art or not. It is not our place to determine if something is political or not. It is important that we are seen as inclusive as we can possibly be. And it concerns Barbara and I when we've had several people come to us over the last period of year talking to us about feeling like we are setting rules, setting standards based on individual perceptions of our roles and responsibilities. So whatever we carry forward and we think we have this responsibility to limit people's perceptions of art, that we need we probably need to put this away, that we are open to discuss if you have a different opinion. I didn't word it as eloquently as Barbara.
Oh, you did better than I did.
I guess can I say something? Ask a question. I'm confused what we're being asked to provide input on.
Well, it's just, it's the concept is that we are an inclusive body as commissioners. And to bring personal beliefs into the work that we're doing, there's not a place for it.
It's come about because people have complained.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we don't want to call out individuals,
Sure.
but we just want to start at an even playing field, or one single playing field for all of us, that we commit. We're basically recommitting to those standards, that we will be inclusive, that we will not be gatekeepers, and we will look at ourselves as lucky enough to be the stewards of the Sammamish Art Commission, and that it's an honor to stand where we are. We were voted in, and we could easily be asked to remove ourselves or be voted out. And it's important to us to feel like, for our community to feel like we're safe. And so this is an intentional conversation where we hope people can speak to all of us in a safe environment and move forward and make sure each event that we hold going forward is with a similar mindset. So whether it's Anne, you and I are running an event, or then Sudeshna and Barbara, or Whitney and Prasad, or Ashley and Claredel, that we all, whoever is at the front, it doesn't matter, that we're all carrying that same vision and that sense of stewardship versus anything else. Does that help a little
Yeah,
bit?
it does. And what it's making me think about is that there likely needs to be additional agreements among the council, or the, what are we? Council commission.
Yeah, I never get it
Thank
right.
you, sorry. You know, that we need to flesh this out a little bit and come up with agreements and an understanding of what is considered acceptable and what is outside of the boundaries of acceptable behavior when we are representing the commission.
Hey, Barbara, I just want to say thanks for bringing this up. I think it's an important conversation, and it's something that we have to keep in our minds all the time. And I would also like to say that if for some reason somebody doesn't agree with what we're doing, or thinks that they could potentially be gatekeepers, they should probably excuse themselves from being in the front lines of that project, and just, you know, check in on their known, unknown biases, and, you know, just figure out things.
I think you hit on something that, and both to take what Anne is saying, perhaps, Emily, one of our future things is actually some bias or anti-bias training. It could be useful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can look into that.
Especially when we are approving grants. And I think it's incredibly important that we see ourselves as reflections of the entire community and not as a certain majority or a certain minority. Is that something that you could get back to us on, Emily?
Yeah, yep, definitely. I can look into some training, and
I just finished a wonderful training by Seattle Works. I have a certificate right here. Let's see.
Oh,
Did it.
great.
But that is all around anti-racism and bias. And so they have like a program, which I'm sure they can shorten for us. But maybe I can talk to her and see if I can connect you, Emily, with her.
Yeah, that would be great.
Seattle Works is a great organization. They do a lot of this kind of work.
Okay.
So I think that's all we need to say about this, and just thank you for listening and having the platform where this can be expressed.
Thank you,
So
Barbara.
thank you for listening and being part of it.
Thanks, Barbara. I do think we need to review the orientation guide, but it seems like it's going to fit into this sort of potentially this bigger conversation. And I don't want to miss doing a quick recap of the Lego event. This was one of our biggest events of the entire year. And though it's not on this agenda, I think it's important that we highlight that for a little bit. And I think Claredel would be the person to do that, as she was the lead in that. Claredel, are you still available to share for like 2 minutes about the Lego event?
Certainly.
I'm putting you on the spot, but you do well there.
Well, I really don't know what you want me to say, except that we've been entertaining this event for about 12 years. And we did it for the first number of years at City Hall, but we outgrew because it was so well attended. Initially, the format was that we had competition between various age groups. And we found that the participants seemed to be more comfortable in just coming and doing their thing, having playtime. There has never been any restriction on age. We have children 2 to 92. We've had them. The event is usually numbers between 200 and 400 children. So we've had it for the last several years at the Boys and Girls Club, and I have coordinated overflow parking with the Presbyterian Church next door. But the people come and go, and this past Saturday, we had several hundred people coming and going from approximately just before 10 o'clock in the morning until we had to remind them at 3:30 that we had to pack up and go home. And every year there have been crying children because they didn't want to leave. So it is a platform where the kids do what they want to do. Mr. Lego does his camps throughout the United States. So as you all know, I have to negotiate a year ahead of time to get a single day for him to be available for us. He has summer camps aside from this as well, all over the United States. So some of the children who come to the Sammamish event have gone to his summer camps in other locations. Let's see what else you might want to hear. The children, as I say, seem to be comfortable with the ability to do their own thing. And a number of the parents have come to me and said, the whole format is they walk into the room and Dan Parker, Mr. Lego, supplies all of the Legos. The children do not bring any of their own unless they have a completed project that they want to share with the others. And we're very open to putting it there so everybody else can see maybe some of the things that the children have done. So that has been the format. And the response that personally I have gotten from parents is that they are very comfortable with their children's ability to be free to use all of the Legos. Like one table is dinosaurs, another table is outer space. So the children are very creative with one another as well. So that's it.
Can I ask one side question on this?
Mhm.
One of the things that I know you spoke to I guess it was 2 years ago now, was the kids that have special needs were able to be successful and find a space in this event. Did that happen again this year?
It happened again this year.
That's great.
As a matter of fact, a father came to me with a mother came to me with a special needs child. And she said she had 2 children. One child was was an extrovert. Another was an introvert. And she said, the way we have permitted the playtime to permit the child to select where he wants to be. She said, my extrovert is over there doing his thing. My introvert is in the train section. And she said, it is so neat that the needs are being met for both types of personalities. And nobody is telling them where they have to go. The children have this freedom to express themselves. And yes, to answer your question, the special needs kids have all of the freedoms, and we have enough space in that room, although we do use that entire huge room with people coming and going. It's just amazing with hundreds of people coming and going.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Claredel. I appreciate you sharing the success of that event, and hopefully we will be able to move forward. I guess in my head, our meeting was ending at 8, and now I'm looking at the agenda and it goes till 8:30. So
so you guys usually end at 8. Our founding resolution says it's a 2-hour meeting from 6:30 to 8:30, but if you motion to end, we can end at 8. It's up to you guys.
okay. So I guess, is there anybody who wants to make a motion to end at 8, or we could keep going?
I'll make a motion to end at 8.
I
Okay.
actually have one thing to add as a
Plus something
discussion
that
point.
Sudeshna has to add.
So maybe in our next meeting, we can talk about the remaining budget. I think there's like $7,500. And I would love to see that go towards grant money for next year. I do not want to see it disappear. So maybe that's something up for discussion for next time. But having more grants for the people in the city would be awesome. So if you're not using it for anything else, I would love to see it get transferred.
May I have one sentence?
Yes, and then I'm going to have one after you.
Okay. There have been this summer, we've done 3 chalk walks at Farmers Market. We've done 2 birdhouse, build the birdhouse, one at Earth Day and another at Farmers Market, and then the Legos. So personally, I was sharing this with Megan this morning when we were talking. Personally, I've done 3 chalk. We have done 3 chalk walks at Farmers Market. We've done 2 birdhouse building, and we've done Legos. So that's 3, that's 6 events that we've done just during,
The summer.
I guess, June, July, and August.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the last thing that I'm going to bring up, and then I'll move it over to Barbara. I guess in my screen, it's that way. Is that we did not have committee updates. And if we're going to stick with our commitments of moving all of our different committees forward without having to bring them all to our commission meeting, then we need to have our regular meetings outside of this and be prepared to update. So I would say next month, we need to have some updates to share by the fourth Monday of October. Just as a sidebar. Otherwise, we're going to need to start addressing all the different subcommittee issues back in our meeting, which means we probably.
Don't we
we'll
do
go to
that on
8:30.
our subcommittee reports every month?
Mhm.
Don't we do that already on our, we
Well,
report?
they haven't been going on for the last 2 months. Nobody, and we're not updating this month.
Oh.
So
Okay,
that puts us in October. And I personally know that none of the groups that I'm on have met. So that's at least 3 out of the 7, I think, or 3 out of the 8. So there you go. And then I think Whitney, I'm putting you on the spot. Do you want to talk or?
Yeah, my family is moving. We just found out this summer. So our house is on the market. My kids are enrolled in another state schools now, and we're in the process of shifting everything. I'm so sad to leave this commission. It's been so fun to work with you guys and see the behind the scenes. So thanks for having me for a short time, and I wish you all the luck. I hope you guys have the best next year. I'll just be watching from afar as everything finally happens with the everything. So
Well, we really appreciate that here in the middle of the move, you took time to be a part of this, because I can't imagine what you're balancing, the juggling you're doing right now. So thank you.
Whitney, where are you
I
going?
did not hear a word she said. Can somebody summarize what she said?
Whitney,
I'm moving. I'm really sad, but my husband got a new job in Utah with a startup. He's a director down here, and it was
I'm trying to read your lips. I can't, I
Okay,
can't.
so Whitney's moving to Utah.
I see. Thank you.
Wrap it up. Is that okay, Whitney? Her
Yeah.
kids are already enrolled in school in Utah.
Yeah, I ran to get them here really quick when we realized moving. So
Wow. Well, enjoy Utah.
Well,
We will miss you.
gosh.
good luck, Whitney.
thank you. I don't think anywhere can beat Sammamish. We hope. the
Aw.
best.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot, but you had to be able to say goodbye to you, Whitney. We couldn't be just like, oh, she's gone. So we need to make it more formal. Okay, thank you and well wishes from all of us to you and your family. Barbara, you're making a motion. Would you like to try that again?
What did I say? I move that we end the meeting at 8:06.
Woo! Anybody want to second that?
Yay.
Oh, all hands went up. Woo, woo. Okay, so Sudeshna or Ann, I don't know, probably Prasad was in there too. It was like a party.
No. At this time,
Okay.
I wasn't in there.
Okay, so thank you for everybody for working to stay within, we thought was an hour and a half. It turned out to be less than 2 hours, so that's great. And wish you a great month and talk to you in October.